I had to sit back and kind of go, where am I going to go from here? And then I was like, what do I love? What am I passionate about? And then I thought design. And I was like, well, what else do I have to lose? So I enrolled into a design course, and then it took a few years, but then here I am.
All right, welcome to the Aussie Ambitions podcast. We have got an exciting topic today on fashion. Very excited to go back and forth on just different aspects of it. We've got our guest. Her name is Sinead James. Welcome, Sinead. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So Sinead is the head of design and branding at Charlie Holiday.
Yeah.
And essentially established here on the Gold Coast, and there's a lot of activity here. Just wonder if you could take us through a little bit about what you're working on.
Awesome. So yeah, I work for Charlie Holiday. The company's head office is in Sydney, and we've got an office up on the Gold Coast. I run the Gold Coast office. Our design team is up there, and currently we're just working on a Northern Hemisphere resort range. So designing up the collection, getting it ready to be produced. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's very much in terms of male or female. Where does that stand?
Yeah, the brand is female. We previously did men's, but women's was outselling men's quite a lot. So we decided to put all our focus onto women's at the time being. So but we're hoping to reintroduce men's eventually.
Very cool. I mean, people are gonna, with the video side of things, obviously people are tuning into the podcast on Spotify and Apple and everywhere. But with the YouTube version, they'll be seeing you in person. So you've got an outfit on. Is this part of the collection?
Yes, this is our current collection right now, Verona. So this is one of our dresses and our custom prints. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, again, people listening in would be likely from outside of Australia, getting a feel for what it's like here. And this will be interesting because the questions around, does climate, dictate, is it summer all year long, all those kind of things. Yeah. So do you have a feel for where the range sits for the Aussie lifestyle?
It's a tough one because we are a global brand. So we actually, our primary market is America and secondary is Australia. So we have to try to find the nice balance between the two. So we are a resort brand. So most of the time our product is designed around like summer, spring, but we do some like heavier ranges as well. And that is always a daily challenge, trying to get that balance right between both hemispheres. So we do say Charlie's like resort based, beach to bar kind of thing. So we always do like, swimwear, like dresses, lightweight, like kind of options, silhouettes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So your title, essentially, we got in touch via LinkedIn and we got a bit of a feel for your background and how it's all pieced together. So I think it's a really neat story. So we're going to get there. But the head of design and branding, what does that entail for those out there?
Yeah. So I manage a team of designers and garment technicians, and I also oversee some of the marketing team too and the branding. So basically I kind of keep the whole creative side of things together and make sure it's cohesive across the board. And as head of design, I oversee the collection. So I come up with the inspiration. I so we do digital drawings, we design up the range, we present it to our agents, our team, alongside with the other designers. So I manage them, I kind of do approvals, we do like lab dips and trials, constantly dealing with factories overseas. I also play a big role in the production side of things, so just keeping up to date with timelines, making sure our factories are going to deliver on time. And the list goes on. It's forever endless.
Okay. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It's obviously many hats. And
it is many hats for sure.
What will be interesting to see, get to know yourself and the skills that you've picked up over time to either prepare you for it or at least point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So where you're at now, have you been in this role for a few years? Or?
Yeah, I think I'm going on 6 years in April, I think. Yeah, I've been in it for a while.
I mean, maybe we should comment on that just quickly. That's a longer term employment for a certain generation of people out there.
Yeah.
Do you think is that normal within your peer group? Like people are just...
Yes and no. Like the fashion industry can be quite fickle. So you do find people turning over like every year and things like that. But I think it's so important to find somewhere you're comfortable in and planting yourself there and growing, and like you become part of the brand's DNA if you've been there for a while. So you really get a read on what the customers want, like what colors are working, what silhouettes are working, like who you're trying to design for. I think if you're constantly moving around, it can take like up to a year to figure that out for yourself. But at the same time, like, you know, I do understand why some designers do move around. Like they want to keep increasing their skill set, work in different categories, different, get a feel like maybe they want to do menswear, swimwear, kidswear. Like they don't know what that is yet. So sometimes it does take a little bit of back and forth to realize which direction you want to go. But I always knew I wanted to do women's wear and swimwear. And then when I found Charlie Holiday and I was lucky to be hired, I just knew it was the right place for me, and yeah, the right aesthetic. And we just, like we just gelled, like their direction and what I wanted to do with my career just really worked well together.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I think what we're going to try to get out of some of your life experience so far, which is kind of that self-starting mentality of, you know you have an interest, but then it's like actually sticking to it, pursuing it. And built this career, which is definitely, running at high speed, it seems. So yeah, maybe we can just get a feel for yourself. So earlier on, like where did you start out with this? You're born in Australia?
I am born in Australia. I'm born in Mornington Peninsula in Victoria, and then our family relocated to Queensland, Gold Coast. I think when I was about 7 or 8 years old. So I've been here, and then I did a stint in Sydney, maybe in my early 20s as well. So based here, but basically how I got into it all is I just always had a love for fashion. My grandma used to make all her own clothes, and she used to buy me like a little mini sewing machine. And I just always had an interest in it. I loved drawing. My mum is a really good artist, and she doesn't get to do it anymore. But back when we were younger, I just followed in her passion, I guess. And then I went to school, and I was at a school that was quite business orientated, and I found a school that had a home economics program, and I begged my family to let me move schools, and went to a school that offered that. And then when it was nearing the end of year 12, I was kind of trying to work out what I wanted to do with myself. I wanted to do fashion, but again, it was such a pipe dream. Like everyone was kind of like, it was honestly the mentality that that's a very big dream. Like not many people do that kind of thing. And I kind of started believing it to some extent, but my dad is very business driven, and he kind of just said just go to uni, get a business degree, and then do whatever you want. Like that would be such a great foundation to have for yourself. So I was sort of at that stage of I still don't know what to do. So I went to uni and I did a Bachelor of Business and majored in entrepreneurship. And that really did set a foundation for me. Though I didn't, I graduated quite young at 19, so I didn't have much life experience, and I thought uni would tell me where I wanted to go, like whether I wanted to be a marketer, and so on. But I had to sit back and kind of go, where am I going to go from here? And then I was like, what do I love? What am I passionate about? And then I thought design, and I was like, well, what else do I have to lose? So I enrolled into a design course, and then it took a few years, but then here I am kind of thing. So that's how I kind of got there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, look, that is kind of what's interesting when you chat with people like yourself. It's almost like you've got this roadmap.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure if it would apply equally to everyone, but it's certainly a start.
Yeah.
Right? What I picked up on that you mentioned was that even from an early age, it was almost like a hands-on approach, like maybe like you said, it might be at a high school or something where you've got a home ec class or something. You got textiles, and you're going to get in there and cut patterns and things. Was it really that, like patterns and? It
really, what it is like in a fashion career now? Or
it's both actually. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how technology is maybe way more now. But even back then, is it the type of thing like we've got Spotlight's a shop here, which is like fabrics and patterns, and I've been in there a few times for curtains.
Yes.
But what's that look like physically?
Well, I thought it, before I was educated in design, I was under the impression I'd be cutting fabric, making patterns, doing all that tangible physical work, which you can do to some extent. But it wasn't until I actually started in roles, or I had my own label and I started doing it all, I realized if you want to just be a designer, you can be doing a lot of digital work. You're not so much hands-on, cutting fabrics, cutting patterns, you have someone else in a position like a garment tech or a pattern maker. So you usually specialize to some extent. But that's not to say every day I am reviewing fabric swatches. There is still that side of things. But I think a lot of people go into design thinking it will be everything, but usually you're specializing in in a certain area, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure there'll be layers of, mix of education and
Yeah.
experience, and like maybe who you've got around you
Yeah.
to lots of influence, right?
Yeah.
Creative influence or technical.
Exactly. But like if you starting your own business, something I did when I was quite young, I had my own label for a while, and that was everything. Like I was doing the business side, the marketing, I was designing, dealing with the factories, sourcing fabric, sourcing trims, dealing with wholesalers, chasing debt, like everything like that. Like it kind of was the ultimate learning experience. And I think that really helped with my career.
Excellent. We're going to get into this.
Yeah.
We're not going away from this one. You mentioned a major in entrepreneurship, and that's something that jumps out at me as something that is not widely available. Even maybe we're in 2021 now. I'm not actually sure if all universities offer that, but at the time, like roughly how many years ago was that?
Oh, we're going on I'm going to give away my age now. No, we're going on like 13 years ago, I think, when I started. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was very new. Like I think entrepreneurship was like a strange word. Like a lot of people didn't know what the meaning was back then. I was just trying to figure out what major I wanted to do. And my dad's always had his own businesses and been very business driven, and always pushed that on to me and my sister. And I just kind of always had a passion for I knew I wanted a business one day, and I just had a passion for it, and I wanted to learn more and kind of see all facets of like what it is to have a business, and kind of finding that niche and exploiting it, and just like learning how to do that. And I kind of read up on the course curriculum about entrepreneurship, and I was like, I had that spark moment, as corny as that sounds. And I was like, this sounds like the right major for me. And it was like when I got into it, I learned so much, and I honestly think it applies to, like what I learned in the course applies to me every single day. Like, I don't know. Like, I think you can come out of degrees and you lose the knowledge quite quickly, but that has, reinforced in my everyday life so much, the things I learned. Yeah.
That is good to hear, because a lot of education people discount pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They spend the time, it can be 4 years or more. And then it's sort of, is it connected to a technical skill that you can then apply? So
exactly.
In this case, I do love the concept of it. And I hope that that's more widely available, because again, this whole podcast started because it was sort of, we realized that obviously people are not necessarily equipped to be self-starters, but I don't know, maybe biologically, do they have a sense of survival? Yes, they do. So it's bridging the gap between that and entrepreneurship. It's sort of like survival. Yeah.
And I think it touches on, it's so broad that you could be doing anything, and it will help you go ahead. Like you said, like you usually come out with a skill set, like if you're going to be a nurse or a psychologist, and it only applies to that industry, where entrepreneurship is so broad. Like you can start any type of business, and that kind of major is going to help you along the way, like the information you learn in it.
Such a good point. Yeah, like a really, obviously mindset comes up a lot, but isn't it it's almost like a way of thinking?
Yeah, it is. It really is. Like,
it's so weird. I can't think of anything else at the moment that's like that, where it's like, it's just training your mind and your eye, you look for things.
Yeah.
Just on that, do you feel like you see the world differently than others?
In my industry, yes, I think I have an advantage from having that entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I think, a lot of people go in creative and they're amazing, and like that's like, 50% of the job. But I think like people neglect that the business side of things is so important. Like being a designer, we get to draw beautiful things all day. That is true to some extent, but you've got to look at it from a cost point of view, and you've got to look at it from how is the business going to make money based on this design? Is it feasible design? Like there's so many things that go into it. And I think sometimes like as you're going up the ranks, people aren't aware of that until they kind of gain the experience that there is this business side to it. And that kind of gave me that insight to like be more open-minded to those kind of things and see it from a business point of view, not just creatively. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to fill in some of the gaps there. The entrepreneurship major, how many years would that have been?
So I fast tracked it because I went to Bond, and you can do your degrees within 2 years. So the major, oh gosh, I think it's like I did multiple subjects within the major. So it did go over maybe a couple of semesters from memory, but I think it was, I can't even remember how long it was for, but the degree was 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you even fast track it, says a lot about, not everybody's going to take that on.
Yeah. I was really, really motivated to just get there and get it done and figure out what I wanted to do.
That's and look, did that have a sacrifice? Was there a trade-off of some late nights? Obviously, many late nights, but what
Yes
was that
and
like?
no. Like I was so young that you kind of had the energy to kind of party still, but like study till midnight kind of thing. It was hard. Definitely don't get me wrong. Like I definitely had moments where I was like, maybe I should like do 3 subjects instead of 4 just to like have some life, but I got it done. I guess like a lot of people my age was, taking gap years and traveling, or they were doing, a lot of my friends that were at Bond were doing like 2 or 3 subjects. So they just had a bit more balance and like working jobs and getting a bit more real world experience. I guess that was like if I had to say a negative, like, yeah, it might've been beneficial to have like been in the workforce for a year just to kind of see to find those questions I needed answers for. I kind of went the other way. So I did the degree and learned so much, but when I came out, I didn't really maybe know how to apply that to like the everyday world as much. But now it all makes sense, but maybe going backwards would have helped, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense. I'm just thinking one of the questions people might have is how did she do it? Obviously, it's the work ethic. That's number one. But then there's sometimes people do need to work a part-time job just to kind of float things. Did you? Was it this thing like? Did you have enough support to make it happen, or did you?
Sorry, I should clarify. Like I worked since I was about 14 to 9 months. Like I worked that whole time. I worked through uni. I was really lucky that at my dad's company I could work night times. I was doing customer service. So I just didn't stop, and I've never stopped since, to be honest. It's just, I'm always on the go. So yeah, I was one of those people that had to work my way through uni. I just wanted to get into the workforce really quickly, I guess.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that actually fits in an important piece because obviously people have different circumstances and it's like, what's the barrier of getting to your goal? And, but I think if you can break it down to, what, obviously mini goals and there's some strategies there, but just something that pulling in people that can help you, or just going it alone if you have to. I think there's a bit of that.
Yeah.
Where did you fit on that spectrum of like, did you feel like it was all you the whole way through, or was there a bit of community that you could tap into, like friends, family? Or...
Yeah, a bit of both. Like you definitely lone wolf it to some extent, but like you are with all your peers and you are in like team assignments and you're bouncing off other people and seeing their work ethics. Again, like as I mentioned, my dad, he's quite like a mentor to me when it came to business and like just learning it from a practical point of view. My friends, they were always really good support systems, but I do find it like within myself, you have to have that drive. Like you can't have other people push that out of you. I think you have to find that fire within and go with it. So it was a bit of both. Yeah, I like to be a lone wolf at times, but I definitely do go back to even today. Like I have my certain people, and if I need a bit of advice, or if I'm not sure if like the decision I'm making is the right decision, like I will relay that information to people and get their advice. I'm not just shut off. Like I like to have my own opinion, but see what other people, and I've got a select few people that I like kind of run things by if I'm unsure.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we've covered off on where the inspiration comes from. So it's sort of, it's great to have that within the family.
Yeah.
And then I'm really curious to get towards the starting of your own label and that kind of thing. So it sounds like that happened pretty early on though, right?
Straight after I finished my fashion course, I was applying for jobs, and like at that stage, like the industry here, like the fashion industry was quite small. Like, most of my the other students I was with were moving to Sydney or Melbourne to kind of explore their career. But I was really like, oh no, I want to give it a go up here. And, it took so long. I wasn't getting anywhere. So I ended up getting a job in event management and PR, but like still trying to figure out how I can make my dream come true. So I just started sketching. I was still like, after college, I was still like sewing my own things and sort of selling it on the side. And then I was like, no, I can really do something with this. And I decided to take the plunge. I was like, I had a bit of savings. I was like, I might as well just give this a whirl and apply all the knowledge I've like those last 3-4 years I've spent learning. I might as well, bring this to life. So I just started very small, like doing small collections of maybe, like 6 to 10 pieces. I just had like a Facebook page. It was very like hobby at the start, and it just started growing so much. And then I think a year or so went by, and my dad actually saw how hard I was working, and he invested into it. And we like I was sewing, or I had like just a local sewer doing the garments for me, and we found a manufacturer in Australia, and we started doing it at like a higher level. Like the website came on board, like started wholesaling. I think we were in about 25 to 30 stores at the time. So that was really awesome. And it was really good to see production from Australian point of view, because a lot of companies, go offshore because of how affordable it is. So I got to see how that whole world works. I guess you don't really always see that when the production's happening in another country. So that was really good. So I did that for about 3 to 4 years. It kind of got to a point where for us, like it was like, okay, we might need to take this offshore. Like, as much as I loved producing in Australia, and I'm very big about that now, it was just the cost for the minimums we were doing and everything like that was so high. I kind of got to a point where, and a lot of boutiques were closing down. It was not a good time in the economy. And I kind of got to a point where I was like, I'm so young, I'm working like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. kind of thing. I think there's more I need to learn. So that's kind of when I decided I might put this on pause and bench this and move to Sydney and get into the industry and like learn more. Like, I've kind of seen what it's all about, and I have some questions that need answers. I'm going to go and learn these, get these answers from working at other labels with people that have much more experience. So it was a really hard decision, but after a couple of years and like amazing experiences, I decided to close up shop and move to Sydney. I worked for a couple of labels down there, and that's when I found Charlie Holiday, and then I've been with them ever since. Yeah.
That's very interesting to put that order of events there.
Yeah.
The one thing that comes to mind for me is there's entrepreneurship there, but then it's also when you're working with companies or even inside of a company. I don't know if that term's still used, but intrapreneurship. It's sort of like innovation within the company, and you're kind of like the chief innovator. And it's sort of like this incubator where you're contributing and you're generating value for the company, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, you're getting like these questions answered. Like you said.
Yeah. It's honestly, that's the best way to put it. That's what I feel like my job really is. I'm trying to come up with ideas to just make Charlie Holiday better all the time. Like, whether it's branding, just general business design, like sustainability efforts, like we're always just constantly trying to come up with new ideas to grow and, make our customers even like love Charlie more than they already do, kind of thing. So yeah.
It's interesting, and good on Charlie Holiday for being open to celebrating your skill set. And sounds like they've given you not full reign, but like you're empowered.
Yeah, no, it's a smaller team, and like they're very good at like making sure like all employees' opinions are heard. Like, two heads is better than one. So like we all just have, every week we have meetings and we like share ideas and just try to put them in place, make it happen. Yeah.
I'm curious about the balance between. I mean, you can imagine some companies would be a little bit threatened by having someone with so much expertise. It's like you almost want to hang on to them and control them and lock them down, and that kind of thing. Yeah, is so I just think it's a good message for people to hear that on the company side, I'd encourage companies to be open to that. Yeah. Let people flourish and spread their wings, but do so within your company. Maybe define the role differently.
Of course, yeah.
But and excellent. So the label itself, is it like a personal brand that you'd still have, I guess, control over if you wanted to? Like, you didn't sell it off to anyone?
No, I just dissolved it. I used to think I'd want to redo it, but I don't think it's for me. Like, I found more passion in like the creative side of design, and like I'm not opposed to having a business in the future, but I don't think I would have a fashion label, if that makes sense. Like, for sure, just seeing a lot of things in the industry.
Well, you quickly went into it there just a few minutes ago, which is about running the whole thing, which was operational, and you've got sourcing and suppliers and probably paying the bills and lots of things there. And I think that's just a good eye-opening moment for people, just to know that it's not all on paper.
No.
Or
it's not how it looks in the movies.
there's a lot of things, and one of the questions I was curious about, like, what do people get wrong when doing this kind of thing, like a bit of the train wreck stories?
There's a lot. I think where people go wrong is they get so overexcited. Like, it's such a like amazing like concept to see your ideas on paper turn into real life, and I think people just want to get it out there. And they have to remember, like, when you've launched a website, you might not have much following behind that, and people over bulk, and which means, like, you know, they might produce 500 of something, but like right now they might only have 10 people a week visiting their website. So it won't convert over to sales. So I think it's always best to start small and test the waters, see what like your customers are loving. Sometimes you're not even quite sure till you get the product out there and you're like, wow, people are loving like when I do linen polka dots. And then you're like, that's something I'm going to explore further, and you kind of find your niche. I think if you dive in too big, too heavy, like at the start, like there's a lot of ways that can go wrong as well. And I think another key area that I felt like people have gone wrong is like they don't have the branding behind them. Like it's so important to have strong marketing and branding and knowing who you are and being self-aware and being like knowing your brand's messages and goals and delivering that to your customer really clearly. So like someone can go on your Instagram or website and know what you're all about straight away. I think it's just people dive in too soon. I think it's like jot it on paper and jot it over and over again to really know what you want your brand to stand for and what your goals and your mission statement is. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. So we've talked a little bit about fashion and the practical side of it and running a business in fashion, as well as, you know, the scope of the current company you're with. Is there any trends that you need to be on the pulse of, like in terms of just being unique? Like, I imagine there's a lot of people that are in the space and trying to like pull people in different directions, but where do you go? Where do you stand with your interests?
Definitely, like I'm really interested in sustainability at the moment. I think it's a big shift that's happening in the industry. I'm really passionate about that, and there are some projects going on at Charlie that will come to life, to fruition shortly. I think just learning about fabrics that are, you know, sustainable and good for the world and like all the benefits of them and like avoiding waste and things like that. I think the fashion industry is like the second biggest like they create the most waste in the world, I think. And it was something that was like, I don't know, I didn't like hearing that. And I just like, that's why we're taking so much initiative with the brand to kind of change that. So I think that's definitely something that's a big trend. But then in terms of like other trends, when designers come on board, like, yeah, you know, you've got to kind of find something that makes you different. Like I'm really big on that. Like there needs to be, what is going to make your brand stand alone from other brands? Like what's going to make you bigger and better? And I think that's something really important to look into before you dive into a business. Yeah.
And so that almost sounds like, is there a bit of technology that's making that happen? So is it like, we're talking about eco-friendly fabrics and things like that?
So in terms of sustainability?
Yeah.
A lot of it's like experimental. A lot of people are milling up their own fabrics. Like we're using a lot of hemp in our product because of it's just got so many benefits. So it's just a lot of research and testing and innovation. I guess innovation comes through again. Like people are coming up with their own types of fibers and fabrics now. Like and ways to like eliminate wastage. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
That's cool. Given that it's an Australian brand and you're distributing overseas, is there something about it that makes it uniquely? Do you lean into that? And I mean, I haven't seen the branding necessarily, but how do you identify as an Australian company with Australian values?
Yes, we love being Australian. I'm very proud of being Australian. I think that translates well in the US as well. They love like Australian fashion. I think it brings something different to what they have over there. We are quite commercial, so we are resort wear, but I think something that really makes us different is like we put so much effort into our silhouettes and trying to make them unique, and we also do all our prints. So our textile prints all in-house. So everything, all the prints that you see have been designed. Like we don't buy them from a fabric market or from designers. We have them all developed within house. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just with what it takes to put everything on display, do you have to, I'm just thinking about the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
Are there models involved? Do they need to wear it and display it?
Yeah. So we do. Every season there's 2 photo shoots. We have what's called a campaign and our e-commerce shoot. So the campaign is like, imagine it's like a editorial type shoot where we're trying to capture like the mood of what the range is trying to get across. So that would be like on a location, like maybe it's a house, a beach, an island or something like that. It's kind of creating like the story behind the range. And then the e-commerce shoots in a studio, and that's like on a white backdrop usually. And that's just capturing the clothes like in full detail so that the customer can see all angles of the garment. Yeah.
Okay. And is that something that's a big part of your day, or is it sort of in campaign mode where you need it for
Yeah, like our weeks are never the same in fashion. So, one week doesn't look like the next. So, when we're at that stage of the cycle where a shoot comes in, then like that week would be completely focusing on getting the photo shoot ready. So like styling, there's a lot of work goes into like sourcing models, booking hair and makeup, coming up with the briefs, the photographer, briefing them, sourcing locations, sourcing accessories, and then putting it all together to make some magic. So there is a lot of work in that, but they're always really fun days. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's what people are hanging out for.
Yeah.
Let's hear about all the good stuff.
It's the first time it's the first time we're usually seeing the design. Like we have fit models throughout the process and we're seeing the designs on them, but it's the first time you really see your garment come to life. So it's like Christmas for a designer, I'd say. Like you kind of like see it all come to life and your vision is, finally real, if that makes sense. So yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
One of the things that'll be interesting to listen back to the podcast recording and see some of the threads of conversation. So with our booking schedule, we actually do have people coming from the modeling industry.
Okay, right.
Photographers, event managers, and it's interesting to see their perspective.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there'll be moments that they are proud of as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I think in your seat, the one that you're at, it seems exciting.
Yeah.
And so where does it go from here? Like we'd like to get a feel for, you've done some really cool stuff. If you were to sort of reset on that and say, well, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah, like I guess I'm like planning to stay with Charlie. I'm really enjoying the endeavors that we have going on. And like I said earlier, we've got some sustainable projects coming up. We are launching a sustainable brand shortly. So it's like kind of renewed that passion and love for me. Like it's a new project to work on. So I'm going to be focusing on that. I'm also taking a bigger step into the marketing branding side of things. So putting a lot of focus on growing the brand. Like the brand's just growing so quickly at the moment. Like we're really looking at ways to grow our customer base. So I'm just going to put a lot of focus into that, as well as ensuring our designs are only getting prettier and better.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely mention the website and things at the end so we can circle back and just follow it over time. I think that's what becomes quite interesting. Some of the other things I just was curious about is if you just take a naive view to the fashion industry, you think, well, you need a celebrity to really sell anything, don't you? Is that enter into the world at all?
Yeah, well, we've been really lucky. Like we haven't ever had to pay a celebrity or anything like that. We've just found through newspapers or online that celebrities have worn some of our garments, and it's been amazing. It's always such a surprise when that happens. Like recently had Lana Del Rey, that was a really awesome one for me, and we've had Miley Cyrus and Britney Spears and Rosie from Blackpink, which is a K-pop band. So that was really cool to see. And it's usually just them out living their life and they're wearing Charlie Holiday. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and like you said, did you get notified, or are you on the lookout? How do you pay attention to?
Yeah, well, some of them have been completely random, and like a friend of a friend has gone, oh my gosh, have you seen this? And some of it's been through PR, PR services have sent them garments and then they've chosen to wear it. So yeah, it's been really cool.
Okay, so that's the big names.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the whole Instagram influencer market? Yep. Is that come and gone, or is that still
I still think happening? It's here, definitely. Like it's a massive part of our social strategy. I think it changes every year. I don't think it looks the same every season. We try to keep up with the latest trends when it comes to influencers. But yes, it's a big thing in fashion. I think these days, unfortunately, you do have to get it on the latest who's who person. And just like the way they style it and the way they talk about the garment, like when they've got these cult followings, it really does resonate. And like we do find that translates quite well. And we want people to talk genuinely about our products. So we get them to do try-on hauls, which is like on their Instagram stories, they'll like say we give them 6 garments, they'll try it on, and they'll like while they're putting the clothes on, they'll trying the clothes on in front of the mirror kind of thing. They'll walk through the design to their customer. They'll kind of be like, oh, I love this, or I'm loving this. This fit is really good, like blah, blah, blah. So it's really good. And the customer gets to learn about the garment and about the brand. And sometimes they talk about whatever, like our efforts, like sustainability efforts. Like we've got all our poly bags are now sustainable. So just things like that when they're opening the packaging, it just gives people more of a sense of the brand. Like I think people are starting to dive into the background of the brand. Like they want to know more about who's behind the brand. And like we have a series, we're going to be doing a series like Meet Your Makers, like for our sustainable range, like who's actually making your garments and things. And that's ways we can get that through with like our influencers. And like, again, with the sustainability, like when we launch that, we only want to look at influencers that have a sustainability approach behind what they're actually doing. So yeah.
Oh, that's super helpful.
Yeah.
I think you can imagine that people, some people are pursuing and they're sort of courting different brands. They're trying to get as many as they can and just kind of make a go of it.
Yeah.
But just the sequence of events there. So if someone has your garment, and they're and they want to do the right thing by even just sharing it with you, what happens? Are they generate a bit of content and they tagging
Yeah, so we do pay some influencers. Some are just not like genuine people that like have bought it and like tag us in it. So they either tag us in it, they'll do the hauls, they'll do stories, pictures, anything, and we like love to reshare that content. We try to reach out to people that fit in with the brand message and the brand's aesthetic, and go from there. We're all about body diversity at the moment, so just trying to get that across as much as we can.
Okay, that's cool. So there's no downside to it. They could actually, as a brand manager, you can get tagged and it's only positive. Like it's just sharing that stuff to you. Yeah. So you got some visibility to it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you've got a few people to follow up with if you think that's something you want to take further.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. Are you actually on both sides? Like would you do, I'm just trying to think, like would you be in front of the camera? Like is it the type of thing where you try to do?
No, I try to not be in front of the camera. But sometimes in the future we've got plans to do again these like haul type situations where, I'll walk through in front of a camera. I can walk through the collection to our consumers. So like on Instagram, I might like take my favorite 3 or 4 pieces and walk the customer through those pieces and why I love them and what's good about them and how they're functional, and like maybe talk about the print that's been designed in-house, just to give the customer a bit more knowledge about the range and why it looks the way it is. And
very cool. I think people do appreciate a bit of that behind the scenes look, especially from the chief architect.
Yeah, I think so more now than ever.
Yeah. And I think that's neat. Good. Well, people can definitely follow social media. I think just the advice for any future fashion designers, people that are coming up. Is there any sort of life hacks that worked for you, or you think you want to point people in the right direction?
I guess like coming up with something unique and innovative is the best approach. Like what makes you different and what's going to make your business different to the other fashion labels out there. I wouldn't get too caught up on studying. Like it definitely helps. And like I said, the entrepreneurship definitely helped me. But I don't think because you don't have a diploma in design that you can't do it. I think experience and hands-on experience is the most beneficial thing. Like I learned so much having my own label, but you do need kind of some education to get you there so you don't make expensive mistakes. So I think like interning, any placements you can kind of get, just reaching out to people in the industry and just catching up for a chat, like just anything that can like help build your knowledge bank, I think is really beneficial for young upcoming designers. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we really appreciate you sharing all that behind the scenes with all of us. And we'll certainly follow the journey from here.
Awesome.
Where, if people want to follow along, is there an Instagram or something they can check out?
Yeah, you can check out my Instagram. It's Sinead, Sinead _James.
All right. And of course, we'll mention the Charlie Holiday. Awesome. They've got a website as well.
Yeah, it's just charlieholiday.com.
Okay, that's easy. So that's charlieholiday.com, and that's Sinead James with us today, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
All right, wonderful. Take care.
Thanks.